Survival is hell, not magic. By Dark0592. Chapter 7, Day 50. She's late, Celestia said to herself as night began to fall on day 50.
My apologies, Celestia. I went to the wrong side of the city and had to shake loose a few ghosts.
Starswirl said, floating up to the barrier in his sphere. Starswirl? Celestia said as the sphere stopped in front of her and emitted magic to form his body.
Not quite in the flesh, but I can't think of a different metaphor.
Starswirl replied. Where is Twilight? Celestia asked, choosing to ask him about this new development later.
Well, she's not recovered enough to win a fight against anything besides a single gas at the moment, and she still has to finish a few parts, so she sent me to take you to her.
Starswirl said, holding out a gas mask similar to Twilight's. Recovered? Did she get hurt? Celestia asked, quickly passing through the barrier and holding her breath as she donned the mask before breathing again.
She wants to tell you about it herself, but long story short, she got hurt, but she'll be fine soon.
Starswirl said as his image faded and he was nothing but a sphere again.
You have wings, correct?
He continued. Celestia answered by extending them and hovering a few feet in the air.
I've got her, Twilight.
Starswirl said as he opened the unlocked door. Good. I saw you go the other way like a moron. Celestia heard Twilight's voice. She looked over to the bed and saw Twilight working on something. They walked up to her, and Celestia slowly stopped and looked in horror as she saw Twilight adjusting a few things on an arm different than the longsword, and her two stumps with docks implanted in them. Hang on a second. I need to get this last gem in place, Twilight said as she fitted a blue gem into a row of them along the top of her forearm. Twilight? What happened? Celestia asked with a horrified tone. We got overwhelmed, and I had to teleport. Wound up halfway in a wall, Twilight said as she used her magic to help her intact arm put the new one in the port.
The vulgarities that came out of her mouth. I was horrified and scared out of my mind, but thinking back at it, I can't help but chuckle.
Starswirl said. Yeah, thanks for laughing at the single most painful thing I've ever experienced, Twilight said sarcastically. She looked at Celestia then, who had tears running down her face that could be seen through the large eye lenses. Celestia, you don't need to cry for me. I thought we'd been over this, Twilight said with a small smile as she put a hand on her masked cheek.
I'll just be going then,
Starswirl said, reverting to his sphere's form and whizzing out the door. You keep getting hurt. I wish I could be there to help you, Celestia said, ripping the gas mask off as the door closed. Then you'll be the one getting hurt, and I'll be the one crying about it. You may be a princess, but even you couldn't survive in this place with the toxin to take care of. Speaking of that, I've made a lot of progress on my research. All we need is a way to stop my blood from leaving the city through the water we can use to get it to saturate the city, Twilight said. That's already been taken care of. I remember you telling me something like that, so I've been having my scientists work on filtering it from the water. We've made some progress, Celestia said, wiping her face and composing herself. I'm glad, Twilight said with a smile as she reclined on her bed. What are all those gems anyways? Celestia asked, pointing to the double row along her forearm and the circle of red ones around a large green one on the top of her hand. Twilight grinned and stood up and leaned against the wall. The blue ones are enchanted with all-purpose protection spells. The green ones absorb unstable energy, while the red absorbs anything energy or magic-based the blue ones stop, she said as she used a torch of magic to activate the device. The top of her forearm split in half and extended outwards, stopping at different places while they aligned so that the green gem was the center. The red gems also extended outwards, but not as far as the others. The final product was a double circle. With another burst of magic, the circles became powered with her energy and made a purple shield. There are magic amplifiers in the center around the green gem to minimize the amount of magic used to make it, and magic reflects around the rings to add a second layer of magic protection. Blue gems don't catch everything, Twilight explained. If she kneed down, the shield could protect her completely, and she had more mechanisms that could be used to extend the shield further. My right arm is the longsword. My left is a shield now. I've also modified my armor a bit and the steam rifle so that it's connected with my magic. I can bring it forward and shoulder it almost like a sort of cannon, Twilight said, pointing to the armor on the rack. Can you feel with them? Celestia asked after a few moments of silence. Feel what? Twilight asked. Celestia took her right hand in both of hers and put it on her cheek. I can feel your warmth, even though it isn't flesh. Can you feel mine? Celestia asked softly, looking Twilight in the eyes. Not as easily as you can, but yes. I can feel everything through the connected nerves and magic, Twilight answered, bringing her other hand up to the other cheek softly. But I know I would be able to feel your warmth with ease, she continued in a slightly lower voice with a little smile. She proceeded to kiss Celestia, who wrapped her arms around Twilight and let herself fall into the bed. You've been through more pain in 2 months than I have in over a millennia. It's time that pain turned to something else, Celestia said softly as the hatch slid closed. This will help our research greatly. Thank you. Be safe. If I come back and find you've lost that leg, I swear I'm just going to level the city, Celestia said outside of the barrier the next day. Trust me, if it were under my control, I'd still have all my limbs. And remember, no matter what happens to me, it's all my choice. You have as much blame as any random civilian that was here, Twilight said. I still feel bad. I'll personally oversee our research to get this to you as fast as possible. If we figure it out before our next meeting, I'll shorten the wait time and just come through the barrier and signal you with it, Celestia said. All right. I need to adjust my leg a bit more. It's a bit too long. I'll see you soon, Twilight said. Celestia nodded and they parted ways. After Twilight returned home and made the adjustments to the leg, she decided to test her new limbs out. Hey, Star Swirl, can you detect any gas nearby? Twilight asked as they left the house.
There's 4 of them down that way. Are you sure you want to test it like that?
Star Swirl replied. If worse comes to pass, you can help me, Twilight said as she charged off in the direction Star Swirl had pointed. In order to balance out her leg powers, she designed a boot that would have around the same durability and strength as her biomechanical leg. This was proven as she was able to hop from rooftop to rooftop that were nearly 10 feet apart without any trouble on either leg. She saw the guests fighting amongst themselves and decided to try something she had thought of. Extending the shield to its maximum radius, creating a large riot shield, she leapt into the air. Charging the kinetic magic barriers in her shield, she used a burst of steam from her retracted wings to smash 30 feet down into the ground, landing on one of the ghasts and creating a shockwave that knocked the other 3 to the ground. The one she landed on was a pile of fried mush, so she grinned and extended the long blade and retracted her shield to its normal radius and took a stance facing the last 3 ghasts as they got to their feet.
That was spectacular, my dear.
Starswirl called from his place spectating from the rooftop she had jumped from. You like that? Watch this! Twilight said as one of them charged her. She braced the shield as the gas body slammed into it and was staggered by the barriers. Twilight skidded backwards a foot or 2 and used a burst of steam to send her smashing forward into the gas with her shield, shattering its skull. The next 2 charged at the same time and at her sides, trying to flank her. She ducked under the first and spun to decapitate the other with her blade. The last recovered quickly from its miss and charged again, this time swinging its claws at the same time. Twilight smacked its strike against her shield to stagger it and proceeded to spin kick it with her biomechanical leg, sending it crashing into the wall. With a burst of steam for added speed, she impaled it before it could recover and smacked its head with the shield.
My, you've got a bit more brutal. And you use steam power to add bursts of speed and power to your attacks and dashes. Very smart, my dear.
Starswirl said as he clapped lightly. Twilight did an exaggerated bow and grinned as she retracted her weapons. I guess if you go through enough pain it happens. All I know is that this thing is sturdy, working perfectly, and I love it. Twilight said, looking at her gore-splattered left arm.
You know, if you're going to be using steam power for bursts of speed, you could put thrusters in that boot and leg of yours. Just a thought.
Starswirl said. Twilight froze and looked at him for a moment before grinning. That's why I keep you around, buddy. You're a genius, Twilight said.
Indeed. Well, do we have anything planned for today?
Starswirl asked. Actually, I did. I wanted to start polluting some of the ponds and other sources of water we could find that didn't run off into the river so we could get a head start. I've calculated my recovery rate and modified the blood pump in the longsword to pump just a bit slower, so if I had to fight all of a sudden, I'm not weakened, Twilight said.
Well, there is a fountain in the center of town,
Starswirl said. I had that in mind, but like I said, there's a pond or 2. They're not natural, but some places flooded, so I called them ponds, Twilight said.
Well then, we've still got most of the day left. Shall we then?
Starswirl said. Of course, Twilight said, her wings extending.